the Italian Football Podcast.
Right, next question comes in from Anthony Sormani, who says, is Nuno Tavares the best left back in Serie A after his incredible start to the season with Lazio? Well,
without doubt. I think
without
right
a
now,
doubt.
without doubt, he's the best left back this season. On form this season, I would even go as far as to say that on form. Let me be clear with that. I'm not saying that he is the best left back in Europe. I'm saying that on form this season in league play, Nuno Tavares is the best left back in all of Europe so far this season. I mean, look at the stats. The stats speak for themselves. Along with Bukayo Saka, Tavares has the most assists in Europe's top 5 leagues this season. And we're recording this before Lazio play against Como. So he could even be outright first after that game when you guys are listening to this. And he has 7 assists this season in Serie A, which is the most assists in Serie A, of course. And you got to remember, he's a left back. Bukayo Saka is an outside winger. He's an outside forward. And Tavares is a left back, and he has the joint most assists in Europe, which is astonishing. And you look at all of his attacking, his offensive play. He's averaging 2.1 successful dribbles a game. Only Rafael Leao and Florian Thauvin are averaging more successful dribbles a game than Tavares is. He's averaging 2 key passes a game. Of all the left backs in Europe, only David Raum from Leipzig is averaging more than Tavares from players that play in a back four. I think Grimaldo also averages more key passes a game than Grimaldo from Bayer Leverkusen averages more passes a game than Tavares. But Leverkusen play in a back three, so he's a wing back. So it's basically a winger really the way they play. So that doesn't really count. Only 6 players in all of Serie A have more key passes a game than Tavares, and that's Lookman, Pulisic, Di Marco, Koopmeiners, who hasn't really played many games, and Dennis Mann and Leao. So again, most key passes from any fullback or defender in Serie A. And only 6 players in Serie A have been fouled more than Tavares, which kind of shows like how many runs that he goes on. He's averaging the 3rd most crosses in Serie A this season, behind Di Marco and Aaron Martin. And so those are the stats. They show how incredible he has been. I think he's been incredible. He's a force of nature down that left hand side, isn't he? When he goes on those runs, those end to end runs. He's got so much pace. He's physically so powerful. He's a great crosser. He's got a great long shot on him. He hasn't scored yet, but he will score goals. And he reminds me, I think I've said it before, I think he reminds me a little bit of Theo Hernandez a little bit, when he goes on those runs forward.
The only thing I want to add to everything you said is Antonio Conte is looking at him and he is nagging daily to Aurelio De Laurentiis saying, I want him at the latest in June. Nuno Tavares in a Conte system would be surreal. Just absolutely unreal. I look at Nuno Tavares and I look at everything he's got, everything he does, the age, everything he does, and I just see Antonio Conte wingback, fullback. That's all I see. Like, if he has a good advisor, they are working on bringing him to Napoli as long as Antonio Conte is there, which we all know with Antonio Conte can mean at any minute he can leave. It doesn't matter if he wins titles, it doesn't matter. But if he stays at Napoli, they need to sign Nuno Tavares. He would be unbelievable.
Defensively, he needs to improve. I watched him at Arsenal, and he was a bit of a horror show at Arsenal.
Yeah.
Defensively, that is.
Yeah.
Lazio, it's kind of difficult to judge him defensively, Lazio, because just the way that they play kind of high up, and they don't really defend so much. But I think he definitely looks better defensively at Lazio than he has at Arsenal. But as an offensive force, I mean, he's been incredible. Will Arsenal, will Arsenal regret selling him? I just think that, look, it's a move that's worked out well for Tavares, for Lazio. Arsenal are quite well stocked at left back, aren't they? I mean, they've got Calafiori, who they signed. They've got Timber. They've got Zinchenko. They've got three kind of really good quality options there. So there wasn't really a place for him at Arsenal, especially as he struggled at Nottingham Forest last season. So Arsenal will probably look at it and say no. But when you look at how much his value has gone up already, they'll probably be thinking, well, how much did Lazio sign him for? Like, it wasn't a great amount of money. I mean, I saw Lotito say that I wouldn't even accept a 70 million bid for him. I mean, his value has skyrocketed already. So I think Arsenal will be looking at that and thinking, God, if only we'd have loaned him to Lazio without an option, because there's an obligation to buy after a certain number of games. He's going to join Lazio. Arsenal are probably thinking, God, if we'd just loaned him out to Lazio this season with no option, we could have sold him for a fortune at the end of the season. So I think that's what Arsenal will be regretting. But what I would say for sure is if he carries on playing as he is, I'm sure that big teams will come in for him, because he's looked like he's like I said at the start, he's looked like the best player, the best left back in Serie A so far this season, and maybe like even on form, the best in all of Europe so far.
No, I agree with everything, and I just looking at where I think he next, if he continues a season like this, and if Antonio Conte continues to dominate that, like as we expect them to do, we don't see Conte teams collapsing. Then they will have money, and I think the only thing they're missing from being the most quintessential Conte team ever is a Nuno Tavares. I think that kind of a physical, gallivanting, but yet technical wingback, fullback that he can develop defensively and beat beat discipline into him. I think it's Nuno Tavares. The more I see of him, the more I just see Conte wingback, especially given that Spinazzola and Mazzocchi haven't panned out. And even in a back four, I mean, what he's done this season in a back four is also with Di Lorenzo, inverting. So I just see Antonio Conte player when I see him, honest to God. But that depends also on him continuing this form, because like you said, it's been a fantastic start. Now he needs to maintain it. But yeah, on form, he's been absolutely fantastic. There's no, the stats say it. Even though one of the assists he got on the weekend was, well, it's not really an assist. Was it? You drive the ball forward, the ball kind of, he passes it sideways, and but yeah, no, there's no doubt. That's we got to hand it to him. He's been one of the surprises of the season for sure.